Hi, this is Bob Wing here from Organizing Upgrade. I'm got an interview here with Jon Liss, the founder and executive director of New Virginia Majority. So here we go. Jon, how are you?
I'm doing great, and it's great to be on the screen with the new revitalized Organizing Upgrade.
So, Jon, it seems like Virginia was definitely one of the, if not the most highlighted elections that just happened. Why don't you give us a rundown of the results?
Huge results across the state. The three statewide offices were won by Democrats. Governor Ralph Northam, Lieutenant Governor, the first statewide elected African American since Doug Wilder in the late 80s, Justin Fairfax, and then the Attorney General was reelected, Mark Herring. And then you had the Democrats pick up 15 seats in the House of Delegates. It had been almost 2/3 Republican. Now there's a couple seats being recounted, but it's 51-49 Republican in the state House.
Great. So what were the dynamics of the election? What drove the election in terms of politics, race, class, etc.?
Several things. I mean, one, Trump, I think, helped to drive turnout. So overall turnout was 5 or 6% higher than the McCulloch election, which was a high turnout election 4 years ago. People color voted about a 6% clip higher than they did 4 years ago. So those are sort of bordering on record turnouts in an off-year election, pushing in the high 40s. Secondly, the huge pluralities were both geographic, meaning Northern Virginia, Richmond, and Norfolk, the urban crescent, but they were also race and gender driven, particularly race. So somewhere between 90 and 97% of African Americans voted for the Democratic candidate for governor. There's different exit polling, so there's some variation there. About the same for all the statewide offices. And then among Latinos or Latinx and Asian folks, it was around in the low 70s, like 72% majority for Northam of the Democratic slate. Millennials was another big piece, youth. So millennials came out at about 80% for the Democratic ticket. And I would say a lot of it pivoted on both anti-Trumpism and then on the Republicans made a late swing towards sort of overt calls. They say dog whistles, but I think it was more like dog mating. It was really out there pushing MS-13 is linked to sanctuary cities, is linked to Northam for governor. And then it was talking about rights restoration being linked to a pedophile, linked to Northam. So it was really out there in terms of the ads and what they were trying to push. And I think there was a pretty strong both regional, racial, and broad repudiation of that.
And tell us a little bit about the politics of the Democrats who won. And I guess there's been a lot of talk, especially about the large number of women candidates.
Yeah, I don't have the full number in front of me, but the state house went from 17 women out of 100 seats, 17%, I can do that math, to 28. So that's sort of an unprecedented leap. And the diversity is out there. First two Asian, I think one was a re-election, but two Asian women elected, two Latinas elected, first transgender woman elected. So it was good on the diversity front. And I would say importantly, jokingly, I say we may not have a full sort of radical or progressive wing, but we at least now have 4 or 5 folks who I'd say would make up a radical feather as a step towards building a wing.
So tell our listeners a little bit more about New Virginia Majority and what kind of an organization you are, what your goals are, and then what kind of role you played in this election.
Sure. We're a state power, governing power, struggling for governing power organization. There's a number of organizations like us around the country clustered together in the state-based power caucus. We sort of toggle between high-level voter engagement, where we talk to between 50 and 300,000 people. This election, we had a universe, or who we were talking to was 300,000, mostly people of color, mostly considered low or moderate propensity, meaning not likely to vote in an off-year election. And our contention is actually that's the new electorate, and that's a key building block of the new majority. And so we're trying to build power with large-scale voter work and then deep, deep organizing and toggling back between the two. And then we have an inside-outside. We have a good, positive relationship on many of the issues we care about, particularly democracy issues, with the Democratic Party. And so we have a strong advocacy effort that results in hopefully creating, pushing along a new electorate. We've registered just over 200,000 people over the last 2.5 years, and that's fundamentally beginning to alter the who votes and what the population is. And we like to think this is almost creating new tectonic plates on which we're operating, which gives us an ability to win not only this time, but win bigger in years to come.
Don't you guys have a significant focus on formerly incarcerated folks who didn't used to have the right to vote and recently got it?
Yeah, a remnant from the 1902 Constitution in Virginia, the Jim Crow Constitution, was, as they said, as Carter Glass, State Senator Carter Glass said, the disenfranchisement of the formerly incarcerated enshrined in the state constitution will keep the darky from ever having power in the state. That was pretty much a paraphrase of what he said. And it's still in the state constitution. McAuliffe took a bold move, the right move, and we supported it and worked very closely with the administration. So just about 200,000 people had their rights restored. Last year and this year, we've registered probably in the order of 25,000 folks who were formerly incarcerated who now voted. I don't know about this year because we don't have the details yet, but in 2016, out of the 25,000 folks who were registered who were formerly incarcerated, they voted at a 79% clip. And folks really understand this is a product of struggle and part of a struggle for both Black liberation and racial justice in this state and in this country.
So in this election, what was your focus? Was it primarily on the governor? Did you endorse any local candidates or state candidates?
Sure. We endorsed the Democratic ticket at the top, which was our primary concern. And then we endorsed 10 candidates across the state, 9 of whom won, and 1 is in a recount. She's behind, so is not likely to win. So it was a good day for us and who we endorsed. And in any district where we endorse, we don't generally do paper endorsements. We knocked on thousands of doors in each of those districts.
So what do you see looking forward, both for Virginia, which is still a battleground state, and for New Virginia majority?
I think the hope is that we're in a markedly better position to actually struggle over a democracy agenda, a racial justice agenda, a healthcare justice agenda. So Virginia is one of those states that has refused to accept billions of dollars of federal money in order to deny 400,000 people, low-income folks, healthcare. So our hope is with a closer divide, a 51-49 probable Republican majority in the House and 21-19 Republican in the Senate, plus the Democratic governor, there's enough common sense there and common ground that we can get health insurance or Medicaid for 400,000 Virginians. We hope that we can get some a constitutional change in the next couple of years that will automatically restore the rights of the formerly incarcerated and not count on the goodwill of a governor to do it individually. There's other things around mass incarceration that we want to address. Virginia has the lowest felony threshold in the country, meaning if you steal anything worth more than $200, you are charged with a felony, and then when you come out, you lose your voting rights. So those are some of the things that I think we can move. On immigrant rights, obviously driver's licenses for undocumented folks who are residents and taxpayers and human beings living in Virginia is really important. Our hope is we can get closer to that. Partly depends if Republicans are going to work across the aisle a little bit, be chastened by this, or if they're going to dig their hands in and dig their heels in, not hands, and sort of drag this on.
All right, John. Well, thanks a lot. Great work, and we'll be talking again soon.
All right, Bob. Good talking with you. Thanks a lot.